That's I just quickly shut down my Discord and reopened to see if that fixes some things. If I got any issues my end,
Right, I can hear you loud and clear.
I can
So,
hear you loud and clear as well.
yeah, perfect. Right, so Sam, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me on here.
Everyone that doesn't know, Sam is from, without a doubt, one of the most respected NFT protocols in this space, and they are a lot more than just an NFT protocol. I will pass over the stage to Sam, and Sam can explain a little bit about what they are about, and then we'll get into some heavier details. So, Sam, if you'd like to give the people that don't know exactly what you're about a little description, would be great.
Of course, thank you very much. So I guess with the hydrowhales ecosystem, we have quite a few things going on, but I think I'll start with the foundation. So the Hydrowhales Mining Club started off as an NFT project surrounding Bitcoin miners. So we actually partnered with a firm, one of the biggest Bitcoin mining firms out there globally. So this is still stuff we've had to keep kind of under the wraps in terms of who they actually are. But I can come on to that in a little bit. So I mean, we started Jesus, considerable amount of time ago. We started in kind of September of 2021 when we started piecing everything together, loading up these contracts. So we ended up with a large number of contracts for access to kind of Bitcoin miners at institutional levels, institutional values. But we actually wanted, and our core mission with the crypto space is to actually bring a lot of these opportunities we can get to the hands of your typical users in the crypto space, rather than just skipping them and going straight to the institutions that unfairly are creating their own wealth and just massively multiplying it. But we wanted to actually be able to start passing that back on to those in the crypto space. So we kicked it off with an NFT project surrounding Bitcoin miners, which provide a steady stream coming into our project's treasury every single month. Of course, as we started the project, it took us 6 months for the full mint out, and of course, over those 6 months, the market massively changed. Which was, we had some huge changes in the market. So we went from just Bitcoin mining to then leveraging that Bitcoin mining, that fund that's getting generated on a month-on-month basis, because within the first 2 months we had Bitcoin miners live and mining for us, which were producing cash flow for the treasury. And from there, we ended up scaling into having kind of an investment side of the project, where we're then able to invest into a range of different protocols, both real world and crypto and DeFi as well. And on top of that, what we really noticed is that, because obviously the way the markets had been going, we decided to move towards creating our own Hydrowhales launchpad, allowing us to build upon what we've already got with the Hydrowhales, which is a solid foundation within the crypto space, has led us to actually launch several successful projects out there. One of which was Project 79, which is a tokenized commodities marketplace, which has currently got 3 different opportunities on there, with some very big things coming up. So if you stay tuned for the Project 79 side of things, I know we got something bigger to talk about today, but there's going to be some exciting stuff coming from that. One of the founders is taking a trip to visit lots of the different partners, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of footage regarding that as well. But that grew tremendously quick, which allowed us to actually turn that into an overall marketplace for these commodity-based opportunities, which typically, like the Hydrowhales built from. Typically, this is things for institutions only. But through one of our founders' networks, we were able to actually gain access and gain contracts with a precious metals supplier and dealer from Spain and Dubai, before actually branching out to ownership of mining operations, licenses for exploration, and so much more. And what's even bigger than that, that's coming out very, very soon, is the Ocean Money platform. Ocean Money offers,
very, very exciting.
This is my baby. Ocean Money offers a diverse range of services, including neobanking, cryptocurrency services, and investment solutions. And we're building this so it's all located in a single roof, under a single roof, help everyone in the crypto space or the non-crypto space gain access to a single platform where you can easily manage your finances, access these options and opportunities in terms of investments. And for those, a lot of people still haven't got access to crypto or find it quite complex. So we're actually building a way to effectively onboard people into the crypto space without them necessarily needing that technical knowledge of setting up wallets, getting anything like that. So we're actually using this platform to help speed up crypto and Web3 adoption as well. And this platform itself will initially be available in the UK, the EU, and Switzerland, but we are branching out. We will be looking to hit the US, Asia, Africa, Canada, everywhere. It's just turn in terms of the regulation, and that is the biggest piece. So Ocean Money is a centralized and regulated entity. So our hub is over in Switzerland, where we'll have an asset management license over there. And then we'll be going for a wealth of other licensing, including virtual asset service providers throughout the EU and Ireland. Then we'll also be having the UK cyber, the crypto certification over there, registration scheme with them. We'll be going for kind of EMI licenses through partners in the UK and the EU, which allows us to offer those neobanking services. And we've got a lot more planned. And this is just for the kind of this year alone, really. And I mean, there's a whole big thing to it, but I'll hand it back to you because otherwise I will just keep talking for the entire space about everything because there's a lot to it all.
Yeah, you've given a great description there about how you've started and the progression that is. It's there for anyone to take, really. I mean, this space is still so young, and if you just have that one tiny little thing that brings something new to the space, you can rapidly grow. One thing I would like to ask, go back a little bit. So you've described your progression in the space, but where yourself did you start, and how did you get into wanting to release an NFT project in the beginning? Why did you choose Bitcoin miners?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. So, I mean, I've been around in crypto, investing in crypto for quite some time. But alongside everything else, I was running, I still do run, a blockchain development agency based in the UK. And we've been doing that for about 2 years prior. I started around 2019. And we were doing a lot of smart contract development work. And through that, we actually met one of the other founders, Adam Dignan, who in turn, actually had access to a large amount of these Bitcoin miners. He was living in Dubai at the time. He was very heavily involved in the crypto space. So he had a wealth of connections there, and had a lot of demand and saw the demand for these opportunities. So we actually kind of combined forces from there to actually use our development skills and marketing skills, and his access and his network to actually develop the hydrowhales and to what it's become today, really, because he's the one that had the access to. I mean, typically this he'd actually worked with them on a raise previously, this company, and typically you would not be able to gain access without needing to spend $10-15 million on miners with them, because they are massive. You can look up who's done the biggest orders from Bitmain in the billions of dollars. And I just quickly add in terms of this, we are actually launching a Bitcoin mining fund with them as the technology partner with their services and their hosting. So this will essentially unwrap everything, because I know a lot of people wanted to know who the actual partner is. Some people know on a kind of a private level, but for the kind of the wider public, there's going to be announced fairly soon. So there's interviews with them over in their offices. There's a huge range of things coming out regarding that, which opens up everything. And I mean, they got facilities everywhere in the world as well. But yeah, sorry for the little sidetrack, but that's how we got started and how the hydrowhales, was born.
Yeah, that's really cool. What is it about Bitcoin in particular that you picked to go down that avenue? So we all know Bitcoin is the daddy. Bitcoin controls the whole market.
Oh,
But,
absolutely.
but from a personal point of view and individually as a miner, if you haven't got the best energy rates, Bitcoin mining isn't always that profitable, really, especially at the bottom of the market. What was it, in your opinion, that drove you towards Bitcoin mining?
Oh, the brilliant thing about Bitcoin mining is I personally, I would cry if we started selling Bitcoin at these kind of levels of prices, because
100%.
it's an asset. It's a we see all these altcoins, the ones that can go up thousands of percents in a day and drop that, or more in a day, or even a few minutes. So I see Bitcoin as essentially the gold of the crypto space, and is the backbone to it all. So Bitcoin itself isn't going anywhere, and we all know there are multiple market cycles for this market to go through, and obviously the crypto space, things move a lot quicker. So we've had ups and downs. We've had we hit some nice highs, then we went back down. We've had some lows, and hopefully we're near enough the bottom. I don't know. Personally, I think we could have one little more upset before everything starts to have a bit of a recovery.
I agree.
Well, but with Bitcoin, I see it as one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. It doesn't necessarily matter regarding the USD value, in my opinion. Because I think in years to come, as you can see in a lot of other countries, it's actually becoming adopted as a proper form of currency and use cases, rather than just relying on transacting in US dollars or anything like that. And it's become kind of almost the gold standard. It already is, but I think people start seeing it, institutions are already seeing it as a ways to store your value in the crypto space without having to gain access to the extremely volatile and instability of everything. And even the so-called stable coins in the space, most of them are still centralized, which of course centralization can mean harm is going to be caused to the crypto space, because if a certain government doesn't like it, if they're not getting their cut of the money being made, they will do harm and threaten. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons for me as well as Bitcoin. It's not a centralized thing. You can't stop it, and that's what I love. There's no stopping Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100%. I'm completely with you there. It's going to be around, and has already proven it will stand the test of time. And just to expand on your point there about countries adopting it, there's countries today that have dropped the US dollar, and it's them type of countries that are pushing the adoption of crypto. And I'm definitely pro Bitcoin. As you said, it drives the markets. It's the only truly decentralized coin in the market, and it's what everything else aspires to be. So, I'm definitely pro Bitcoin mining. So you touched upon your mining partners, and there's things going to be released soon, as in videos and interviews, etc. Once that is released, will your whale holders get any benefits where it comes to your partners?
So with our partners, what we're doing, we're actually structuring a regulated Bitcoin mining fund at this moment in time. And of course, what we do, anything going through the hydrowhales launchpad gets kicked back. A portion of that gets kicked back into the the hydrowhales treasury or within the ecosystem, whether it's in form of additional mining capacity, which is the likely where we're going, rather than necessarily needing to actually acquire new miners. By launching this fund, we would then be able to allocate kind of a portion of that hash rate directly back to the hydrowhales ourselves and increase our own capacity for mining Bitcoin without needing to do anything else really. But we are also working on potential opportunities for hosting with them in just smaller batches. So obviously they do require kind of large batches. We've managed to talk them down to some smaller, more reasonable numbers. But then we might be able to release out batches of miners at kind of almost the cost price at cost, and then at hosting cost as well for our holders as well.
That's brilliant. So when you realized that you were going to get as big as you've obviously gotten, there must have been a time where you sat back and thought, wow, this is just unbelievable. At what point did you start to envision the rest of the ecosystem that you've started building? Was it always something you had in the back of your mind, or is it something that's just happened because of the exponential growth you've seen and the following that you've gained? Is it, say, Ocean Money, for instance, is it just something that you had an idea once you had got big with hydrowhales, or is it something that has always been part of the plan, but always kept quiet until you got to a point where you could go down that avenue?
So a lot of these things we'd already started to explore very, very early before we actually launched the first kind of aspects of the hydrowhales mining club at all. We had other things lined up. So we had actually a potential medicinal cannabis project, which is still there potentially on the cards. It's just dependent on regulations in the country we want to launch it at, and then just costs and times with that. So we actually had a range of things before we actually fully sold out. And Ocean Money was one we kind of kept back because we had to do a lot of legal reviews, and believe me, they are very timely, just for the reviews alone, and then for getting the regulations process. You're talking 6+ months for a single piece of regulation to be started and looked at. So then we actually kept this all in the back burner until we knew that it was doable, because we'd seen all of these other platforms try and offer some similar solutions, but not quite hitting the spot. They might be missing one of the aspects we wanted to offer, or they've just completely ignored mainstream markets, or they are just essentially crypto only, not touching a single other thing. So once we realized that we could actually look into doing this and actually think it was something we could actually build, that's when we started putting hints out to the community about what we've been working on, because a huge amount goes on behind the scenes. Like the legal reviews, the amount of compliance things that we've been having to do with it, the development side of things. There's a huge amount of stuff that's been going on, right behind the scenes, which has kind of been hidden away until, recently, when people started seeing what's within the hydrowhales ecosystem, what's coming from the Ocean Money platform, and all of that. So, I mean, we started that one fairly early. It's just been hidden just because we had to ensure everything could be done perfectly. We didn't want to go out announcing we can do this and then turn around, we have a law firm and compliance team say, actually, no, you can't. We had to make sure we had everything signed off first before we could start pushing it out.
Yeah, of course. I know you've touched upon it already, but would you like to expand a little more about what people can find within Ocean Money? Exactly what the platform will hold when people go on the platform. Is it going to be just a platform where it says, I don't know, here, these are a good investment, go and invest in them? Or is it going to be a place where you can trade GBP for USD? Or what kind of platform is it going to be exactly? What can people expect?
That's a great question. So for the overall platform itself, we have 3 core pieces. So it's almost like a modular platform, because this will allow us to roll out services to newer regions quicker. So we don't have to wait on every piece of regulation, because we have to have different regulation for each different service we want to offer. So we built the platform in a way we can roll it out very smoothly to everybody, as and when applicable. So these 3 modules essentially are neobanking, and this is, of course, your traditional kind of online banking system, which is going to have multi-currency accounts. So, for example, like you were just saying, if you want to do converting, and we do actually to build upon that, we do actually have a trading platform for Forex as well, and cryptocurrencies too. So that is a dedicated platform for that. But on the neobanking side, we of course have multi-currency accounts, instant transfers, ability to schedule and do all your bill payments through it. We are building out kind of an AI-backed budgeting tool and analytics tool, which is going to essentially help you identify where you maybe could save some money. You could, if it can predict, like, if you start saving this much and then put it into these different investment opportunities, you can actually have this by the end of next year. Gives you some kind of goals to achieve. We have virtual and physical debit cards, and we also have direct debit functionality within the accounts themselves as well. So essentially, it can replace your traditional bank, and this will be for both typical consumers and also companies and corporate clients as well. So it'll be offered to a range of partners.
So would I be right in saying it's almost like Revolut on steroids?
Definitely. So it's like Revolut, but with a crypto focus. So the thing with Revolut is you can technically buy cryptocurrencies on there, but you don't actually own cryptocurrency.
Correct.
It's almost like having a contract saying you own the cryptocurrency. Whereas now we're not a fan of that. And it's your crypto. If you're buying it, it's your crypto.
Yeah.
So actually, that's quite an important piece. For the crypto services, all of the wallets are one-to-one. So every account and user has their own wallet. So we don't pull funds together like exchanges do. We don't mingle funds or anything like that. It is one-to-one. So your funds are there unless you then opt to move it into one of those investment opportunities. So that way, you can really check my funds are there. You can go on the blockchain and
So
see
that's
my
a
funds are
really
there.
important piece of information for everyone listening. Your keys are your keys. It's your crypto. You do not leverage that crypto. As you said, you don't do what standard CEX does and use that crypto to generate more money. It's in their wallet, and that's where it stays until they choose to move it.
Yes, and then the only time we ourselves would, if you move it, it'd be if you choose. So we don't move it on your behalf.
Yeah.
So you actively need to choose. I want to go and stake this. I want to go and put it into this. I want to transfer it because we've all seen the dramatic fall of several exchanges and several platforms which were leveraging your own cryptocurrencies, your own funds, or essentially these are assets under our management, but they're not our funds to then go and use. Essentially, you as a user still need to direct us to then go put it into something else for you, rather than necessarily us having control of those, which I think is very, very important, and it adds another level of protection. And I think that gives us another layer of kind of transparency because you can literally go on the blockchain and see it. Whereas if you look at you look at a lot of these centralized exchanges, it's almost confusing. I don't know where my funds have gone. I
Yeah.
have no bloody clue.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree completely. I want to touch upon the way that your protocol makes money from Ocean Money. So with a standard bank, you've obviously got your normal fees, fees sending, withdrawing, whatever it may be. What way will Ocean Money generate money for the protocol, and in turn then generate income for your holders?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. So our platform, like you were saying, there will be fees on transfers for the banking and the crypto and the wealth side. So we obviously there will be fees on all of those. But with the wealth management piece, of course, there'll be a management fee essentially linked to all of that, for handling all of those different opportunities with the partners associated with that. So essentially, our wealth management platform is the heart to all of Ocean Money, because this is what really unlocks the ability for everyone to actually scale up their own earning potentials, access some very unique opportunities that are typically reserved for institutions. And these opportunities are going to be tailored towards your accredited, your investment status. So whether you're an accredited investor or whether you're just considered a retail investor. So then it does limit, for example, if you're a retail investor, some opportunities you might be capped at $5,000 or X% of your total income or your total net worth. So we have had those things built in and differing, and tailored towards our users on their net worth to ensure that they understand what's low risk, medium risk, high risk, what's presented to them in a very, very nice manner for them to be able to break down and do their own research on top of everything,
Yeah.
before diving into anything. And in terms of the holders, so the Ocean Money platform is powered by a token called Wave, which is the utility token of the overall platform. Of course, Ocean Money's treasury will be having an allocation of these tokens, which will then likely be voted on and dispensed to holders over time. All the tokens have a vesting period as well, including the ones that the hydrowhales treasury would have. So it's not like it's going to be a sudden injection. It'll be kind of a gradual, almost kind of a monthly thing coming back into our treasury that we could then hold, use, stake, or distribute. And with this token, we offer, there's a range of benefits built into this, with it being the kind of the core token of the platform itself. We have things such as discounts on fees. So in terms of crypto fees, trading fees, banking fees, and wealth management fees, there'll be, if you're holding this token, there'll be early access to new opportunities. There'll be exclusive token holder opportunities as well. So some of these opportunities we get doesn't necessarily have high caps we can take on them. So for example, it could only be an opportunity that has a cap of 250,000. That's all the partner or the whatever the opportunity is that's looking to raise and utilize. So by holding these tokens, you would then have kind of priority and exclusive access to these. There'll be community voting rights, to be able to vote on kind of all the community matters and have a say in the platform's future development and the policies we put in. It'll give you boosted yields. So on different staking opportunities and yield farming pieces, you could actually have kind of an increased yield as well. And that's similarly on some of the opportunities on the wealth management platform. And one cool thing about our platform is the firm we're working with has actually got patented technology which allows us to build in security within the token itself. So we'll actually have front running and sniping protection built into the token itself already.
Nice.
So this essentially allows everyone to, if you want to trade on a DEX, that's no problem. And you can just do so knowing that you're not going to get ripped off by one of these bots that are just scouring every single one, looking for opportunities to try and front run you and make absolute bomb. You do, especially don't want to be buying a token and thinking you're going to be buying 100 of them and end up with 80 because a bot just tried to beat it to you and sold them back to you for even more. So I think that's one of the most innovative things we've got on there. And one big final thing for the token itself as well is we do have a buyback mechanism, which essentially dedicates a portion of the Ocean Money platform fees into buying back these tokens. And then the wave holders will be able to actually vote on what we do with them. So whether that's we burn them, whether we put them to work in different investment opportunities, or we could put them back into a rewards pool for boosting token holders' rewards. So there'll be kind of a range of opportunities for that.
Nice. Yeah, I like the sound of that. So I personally am already sold on Ocean Money. I think it sounds like a dream. It sounds amazing. But from your perspective, how can you appeal to normies, let's call them, people that are not in crypto, people that are not part of DeFi? Because ultimately, and I believe you'll agree, everyone that's here now, our wider goal is adoption. I support decentralized finance wholeheartedly, and I want to be part of the movement that creates the ability for adoption. How do you think Ocean Money can be part of that?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. So what we're doing, we're actually simplifying the process of crypto for a lot of people. So the wallet system we'll have in place is just going to always kind of work seamlessly in the back end. So a lot of people wouldn't even know they are using a platform built upon the blockchain and using cryptocurrencies as well, which is going to make it very, very easy. Of course, a lot of these services we offer are not just crypto based, with our core feature being the wealth management piece. And this is going to be pushed out to everybody and anybody, because this allows people to gain more control of their own finances, and not just necessarily through crypto. A lot of these opportunities aren't necessarily crypto themselves. They will be kind of institutional grade. We'll have fractionalized real estate. We'll have a huge range of different things. Our aim is to essentially be that centralized platform where you can pay your bills on a day-to-day basis, and then you can allocate a portion of that. Okay, I'll allocate a portion of my salary to automatically be distributed into these different types of opportunities on a monthly basis. So we're not just trying to dive deep into the world of crypto, and of course we want to speed that up. And by doing so, by making sure the platform is accessible to kind of all realms and doesn't have a sole focus on crypto itself, it allows us to get additional users onto there that might have never considered entering the world of cryptocurrencies. But they'll have those services available to them, which we'll be introducing to them and teaching them. So there is going to be kind of a Ocean Money Academy as well, going through talking about the financial markets. They'll be talking about different types of opportunities with actual accredited financial advisors, a huge range of those kind of things, just to actually bring that education piece in there to help bridge that gap, because I think there is a big gap in terms of knowledge, in terms of the financial side. I think a lot of us in the crypto space already knowing we're taking a bit more control of it, because I'm sure that's a big reason why people in crypto is to make money. I think that's very, very true.
Yeah,
But a lot of people still struggle to figure out, where do I put my money, other than I've got a pension, but I don't have anything else. What do I do next? And that's what we want to help them. So we don't necessarily have to be deep. They don't have to know about the crypto space. But by getting onto the platform, they're going to be introduced to the usage of cryptocurrencies, and also cryptocurrency opportunities as well. And especially, and there are more stable coins, I think, over the coming years. Then there's obviously opportunities for them. You could do liquidity providing, staking them, which can often provide a higher return than sticking, well, definitely a higher return than sticking your money in a bank with
Yeah,
with a similar level of security on that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love that. I think just from the way you explain Ocean Money and the way it's detailed, it could definitely be part of the driving force to enable people that don't have any experience at all, or the only experience they do have is people bad mouthing the space because of all the bad actors. I definitely
Oh,
think Ocean Money can definitely be part of showing them that it's not all bad, and there are people here to teach you how to use the space, how it should be used. So going on from that, would you like to just give a little rundown of the decentralized side of that in Orca?
absolutely. So, of course, Ocean Money itself is a centralized platform, but we and the team are a deep lover of decentralized finance and believe that's still key for crypto adoption and for longevity of the space and for longevity of everyone's finances in the long term. I think everyone should have an option to go down a centralized route and a decentralized route. So Orca itself, obviously the biggest thing we can't offer on there is the banking side. But maybe one day, I think one day we should see some ways of being able to do banking through crypto directly without having a centralized entity. But Orca essentially will be providing kind of a replica of a large amount of Ocean Money services on a decentralized basis. And this will include things like a kind of a decentralized trading platform with perpetual contracts and everything like that in there. We'll have escrow services as well, so allowing people to trade securely. So whether you want to, we've had people contact asking, can we assist with very, very large transactions with specific deals? So we can have solutions like that on there. We will have an NFT marketplace on there, which will be fully decentralized as well. So there'll be no centralized control. We will have, we are building out a crypto wallet for it, a swap, a bridge, X, everything on there. So essentially, this allows us to actually offer services to other, regions we may not be able to reach typically through Ocean Money. Of course, we will still be restricting access through, your typical sanction countries. But by doing so, we can actually then offer the platform out there to globally, because it's going to be a fully decentralized platform. It will have a DAO based structure as well, which allows everyone to get involved with it in terms of from development of it, from marketing it to actually just getting involved with the community itself. So it's going to be a very, very heavily focused community based project. Once what we're doing is just building the foundations of that before we essentially kind of create that community around it and hand it off essentially, and then we can just be seen as an overseer to help guide it where needed. But I think it's going to be fairly big with that as well, because there's a lot of plans. We've got a lot of insight and kind of a lot of developers asking to assist with this already in a decentralized manner. So we're just finishing off the base of it all and tidying up the white paper. So I believe this will be coming later this month, just the release around this, more details around it, the exact services going to be offering, and I mean how you can get involved as well, because I think that's one of the key things is being able to help out directly with it and be rewarded from it through the token itself as well.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Um, have you got a specific chain that you are going to use for Orca, or is it going to be cross chain?
So we are looking to build that cross chain, mainly because Ethereum's gas fees are absolutely insane.
Yeah,
For a lot
yeah,
of, I think everyone's realizing that Ethereum still, in terms of volume itself, it's still a great platform. But we are building out a lot of things on. We're basically going to be on most EVM compatible chains, and then we've been looking at other chains we can actually branch out to as well. So we do want essentially Orca to be able to kind of cover the majority of mainstream chains and support them in terms of bridging and swapping as well. So we're just in talks with a few liquidity providers across chains as well to make sure we can line up everything nicely for that.
yeah. Sounds good. I agree with you. The volume on F is still amazing. You can still do amazingly well with a project on F, but um, the gas prices were bad not even in the last bull run when the market was dropping. I think going into the next bull run, and especially at peak of next bull run when volume is at total, I think them gas fees are going sky high. They're going to be unbearable. So I think cross chain is definitely the way.
Gas wolves,
So
get ready for 'em.
yeah, I know you're a bit strapped for time today. So I'd like to ask if anyone's got any questions. Just please put your hand up. And as people are plucking up the courage to put up their hands, would you like to just give a quick little rundown of Project 79?
Yeah, of course. So Project 79 itself actually started off as kind of a project where you'd actually essentially have to sacrifice your crypto at kind of a voluntary basis, not something we liked, but in terms of legally what had to be said, into kind of a protocol where we were working with a gold partner based out of Dubai, now known as Bocor Mining, that essentially were a precious metals dealer. They were importing from kind of East African countries and then selling that, exporting it back to Dubai. They actually were exporting to a range of countries, including Switzerland, Turkey, London as well, primarily Dubai, and then selling there for a kind of a spread across that. And we were essentially providing liquidity for them to do that, kind of almost working capital. We actually, we got to a point where, the project was growing and there was, other opportunities where we could start branching out to and provide tangible assets back, rather than just something such as a sacrifice, which none of us liked. And in regulatory terms, is the only way you could have done something like that at that time. So we actually then backed it up with, the ability, we had an offering of transitioning into kind of owning a portion of kind of a mining operation through it tokenizing its economic rights. And then from there, we've then had Adam Diggins brought on a few other things already. So we're essentially building out Project 79 to be kind of a commodity specialized marketplace for a range of opportunities. And this is going to be coming from real estate based. So it could be, potentially lining up one for kind of a precious metal storage facility, to refineries, to actual land itself. Then there's one currently going for essentially funding exploration and licensing costs. That's looking to, in the Sahara Desert there, they're actually looking to do exploration there and then set out within 18 to kind of 24 months on there. And now we have kind of a new protocol they've just put in place, which will be essentially where you can then stake your stable coins, and that will be used as kind of working capital within a range of different contracts. And I know Adam's going to have a lot more details on that over the next few weeks. So I know he's going to be taking a very exciting trip as well, to meet a lot of these partners in kind of in person. So I'm sure, I think everyone's going to, if you're in the Project 79 Discord or on the Twitter, you're going to see a lot more interesting activity going on. I think we should be able to see some very, very good stuff. These contracts will work, are going to be from similar to what we had before to kind of other ones where we can actually provide capital to refineries, and a whole lot more. So there's going to be a lot to that one.
Sounds amazing. Board Yeti, thank you for coming up. If you'd like to unmute yourself and ask whatever you would like.
Yeah, just let me know if I break up. So Sam, just a heads up, I am a hydrowhales NFT holder. So been part of the ecosystem for over a year now, the hydrowhale side, not on the Project 79 side. But this, don't want to meander too much. I know your time's critical here, but I have a lot of technical questions that I really want to get your insights as a VC with your, don't want to, not derogatory, but your fingers in a lot of different pies. With aspect to the TradFi interaction, I see within our DeFi ecosystem where we're trying to interact with TradFi so much. We have a lot of centralized exchanges. We're talking about ocean money and another way of trying to meld the two environments together. What do you see as the primary, or what are the roadblocks that are currently in place that are preventing DeFi protocols from being developed that allow for debiting of TradFi accounts through services. So today, as an example, I can go online, buy a product from Indonesia and through Amazon, and Amazon has an account with whatever bank I'm currently a member of. And so they could just debit my bank, right? And there's no question about that process. It's set up behind the scenes. I'm not familiar with it as a layman, as an individual. I'm not in banking, so I don't know how that process is set up. I'm trying to get a better understanding of how DeFi can remove KuCoin, Coinbase, Binance, all these centralized exchanges, and instead create their own decentralized service to interact with banking. I don't understand why that's not already seen.
So that's a very good question. The biggest thing around that is anti-money laundering laws. So those are kind of the biggest headaches any DeFi protocol will ever face, because the level of compliance required to adhere with those across the entire world is kind of extremely hard. And that's probably why we would see a lot of pushback from kind of any government. If DeFi protocols, for example, had cards where they could be issued kind of anonymously and then pushed out, and you could spend it at your will with your own cryptocurrencies, no problem. But I think it's doable. It is very much doable. I know there's things like Hyper ID, where essentially is you can KYC, and there's other on-chain IDs as well, where you can essentially KYC, and but it's linked to a wallet that is anonymized. So there are ways that it could potentially be embraced, but what you'd have to do is almost have kind of a larger adoption from retailers that would then just accept cryptocurrencies. Using tapping your card. It would almost be a different type of Visa or MasterCard. You tap it, you need probably a whole other machine that can then process, yep, they've debited Bitcoin from it. That's your way of signing your transaction by tapping your card. So I think it's not just, regulation is probably the biggest thing, and the AML laws will be one of the biggest headaches for years to come. But I think it's also to do with the overall adoption of it and the use cases of it in the entire world. And we obviously see big companies are already embracing Bitcoin and getting more involved with crypto itself. But I think until, probably I give it 5-10 years, within the 5 to 10 years mark, and I think we'd see crypto itself, not actually needing a bank to be linked to. So therefore you could ditch those exchanges for doing on-ramping and off-ramping, because it might not necessarily be needed. We might be in a world where you could pay for your mortgage in Bitcoin, you could pay for that in stable coins and everything like that. So I think that's what I think we're all hoping to build towards. But probably the biggest hurdle is going to be those AML laws to do with it.
I certainly agree with you that once the ecosystem is a little bit more set up within our own environment, using Bitcoin in El Salvador as an example, you can purchase your goods and services with Bitcoin, right? No, the on and off ramps aspect is for the liquidity aspect of being able to convert back into a tangible product if you need it, or service if you want it. Right. Those are our challenges. But because of your interactions with the various governments and regulations, I appreciate the feedback. I would encourage, hey, maybe Ocean Money can be the first to break this barrier as a service. And like you're saying, I don't know if it requires you to hold capital so that you can, liquidity, as it were, convert from one to another. But my biggest pet peeve as a consumer coming into the DeFi space is the on and off ramps and the centralization of those ramps and the control of those ramps and the way that governments are using those ramps as pinch points for this market. So that they're creating a black market in DeFi where we can either exist here or exist in the white market, black market, and I'm trying to break that up and say, hey, where's the good market?
Yeah, you also I know I've seen things proposed by people where they wanted to do almost decentralized banking, where they plugged into tens of people's personal bank accounts to then try and do liquidity for it all. Um, but obviously that got shut down fairly quickly, and they get banned from using those banks ever again. Because then it's it's not even just the governments, then it's the banks that don't trust those people, what they're doing, because then they have their own AML flags they have to go from. But I give it 5 years or so, and I think we'll be in a better place where these on and off ramps for crypto and fiat, they're going to be much more decentralized.
That was a super good question. Sam, I expect to be able to spend crypto on a card must take a lot of moving parts. It can't be easy, especially with the volatility of price differences. How does that even work? Have you got a quick TLDR about how many moving parts that takes?
There's a lot. We're very, very fortunate. The partner we are getting our EMI license with has done it before. So they've done it with kind of a similar crypto-based firm that are just fully crypto. So essentially, we just almost have a kind of a centralized account full of kind of the funds, which is essentially equivalent to the amount people would allocate to the card in cryptocurrency. So then when they get debited, we then choose whether we'll debit the crypto from their account. But then we choose as a company, are we going to hedge against that? Or do we just want to off ramp that quick and settle our accounts there and then just put it back in fiat? So we have a few options. And obviously it depends whether it's going to be stable coins, which we can then work with. We can have institutional accounts with Circle and we can just exchange them in larger batches, or whether we then as a company then essentially it's like a balancing act. It's probably the best way to say it. Essentially, we'd have a pool of crypto and a pool of fiat, which we then balance according to what's occurring. I think that's the best way to do it. But we will have a nice breakdown. So we're going to do some very technical AMAs and Twitter spaces like Twitter Lives and YouTube Lives to go into a lot more detail around in these different pieces. And we'll bring on like the partners we're working with for the banking side as well. So I think that'd be a very good one to dive into. We could almost have a kind of a 30-minute session on that alone.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I know you really haven't got a lot of time and you're a busy man today, so we'll get a question off Master B, who is up here and ready. Yo.
Yo.
Can
you hear
me? Yeah, just a bit.
Oh, yeah. So I'm in my car. So my question, I've noticed that we're on phase 4 for the mint. I was just wondering, will there be any more NFTs on sale after that, or is that the final phase?
So for hydrowhales, we do need to update that white paper, and we do have a new one coming because we actually sold out last year. So we are a fully sold out NFT project. We do not have any more hydrowhale NFTs releasing, but we do have the Ocean Money Wave token. We have our pre-sale towards the end of this month, and then we will have a public sale kind of mid next month. So that's probably the next best way to get involved with the ecosystem. Or if you hop into the hydrowhales Discord, people are buying and selling the hydrowhales in there as well. Unfortunately, they took us off the OpenSea because obviously anything passive income related, they are not a fan of. But we have the Orca Fire marketplace coming very, very soon as well, which was our replacement. They took us off, so we built our own.
Okay, so I could pick one up off the secondary market still?
Yes, you can. And there's a very much live on all kind of alternative marketplaces. And we do have users in the Discord that buy and sell quite a lot as well. So we've got buying and selling channels right in there.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
No worries at all. Thank you for your question.
So just as a final word from you, Sam, and I'll say thank you very much now for jumping on here with us and being able to just talk through each and every part of what's going on currently. Do you have any alpha or anything that may tell people who go and take a further look? And just from your perspective, just give a tiny little 3-sentence rundown of why you think hydrowhales as an ecosystem is a good place for people to go and do their research and consider investing.
The Hydrowhales Mining Club. Obviously, we are kind of, this is the core, the sun in the ecosystem. I'd say. It's the one place to get started, because essentially RFTs are going to have, access and, benefits from everything that's getting kicked off. So, the hydrowhales is the central hub to everything. And by getting one of our hydrowhales or getting involved with the community, you're going to see how everything kind of revolves around and goes back to this initial community.
Nice. So I think that's been a great AMA. Thank you so much for talking in detail through every part of what's happening at the moment. I myself am super, super excited about Ocean Money. One last thing, is Presale going to be open to everybody, or is it going to be limited to your whale holders? If so, how can somebody else maybe get a whitelist spot if there's any available?
That's a great question. So initially, pre-sale will have priority for hydrowhales holders, but we will also be working with different partners, potentially including yourselves, to then offer their holders spots as well into that pre-sale if they're interested, just to gain priority before it moves to a kind of a public release. So then, if you have interested users, we can definitely add allocations there for you guys, whether we link it to your token itself, your fund yourself, or anything like that, to then give them that ability to get into that pre-sale. But of course, hydrowhales will still have the initial priority, and will have the first chance to grab them. And then what's left will still be then pushed out to anyone else involved with the pre-sale.
Brilliant. I expect there's a lot of people excited just to have the option of maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if your pre-sale sells out rapidly, because it's just the kind of following you have, and I'm not surprised. But I will say thank you, and I will allow you to go and catch your train. I believe it is you've got to do.
Yes, I have a conference I'm attending tonight, so I have to head into London after this. It's the normal dash and sprint I have to do. Luckily, the train station's actually 5 minutes away, so it's all good.
It's not bad then. So for everyone listening, thank you very much for coming. It's been great to have Sam on for our first dehedge AMA. It's been a bit of a wild one for a starter. But we will be having another AMA over in the hydrowhales Discord, possibly next week. I'll have to talk to Sam. We'll get a date and time set. And then after that, we'll arrange a nice big Twitter space. We've
Definitely
discussed the possibility of inviting a load of partners on, and we'll be talking everything crypto, good, bad, what we think's to come, and generally just have a great get together. So yeah, thank you all for coming, and we will chat again soon. Thank you very
much. Pleasure talking to everyone, and thank you for your questions. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys over in the hydrowhales Discord for the next AMA.
Perfect. I'll look forward to having a good grilling. I'm more comfortable on that side of the seat.
We're looking forward to it too.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.